prologue of Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood, said it all. Quote, "There's a legend around here, a killer buried but not dead, a curse on Crystal Lake, a death curse, Jason Voorhees' curse. They say he died as a boy, but he keeps coming back. Few have seen him and lived. Some have even tried to stop him. No one can." And like that prologue, year after year, generation after generation, whether at Camp Crystal Lake or not, most have failed to take Jason Voorhees seriously enough until it was far too late, or were seriously unprepared to be absolutely ruthless in destroying the super killer, as FrightenHouse explores Friday the 13th, top 10 epic fails battling Jason Voorhees. Number 10. Freddy vs. Jason, 2003. Before the title bout fulfilled horror fans' long-time dream of Jason Voorhees battling Freddy Krueger, it's the regular victims, those hapless individuals, who continue to prove they just don't get the meaning of going all the way. Case in point, the portly pothead, who thought setting Jason on fire was the end-all death move. Unfortunately for him, Jason believed one fiery attack deserved another. Number 9. Friday the 13th Part 2, 1981. Breathless and terrified, assistant camp counselor Ginny Field thought she found safety in the woods, only to discover she was dead center in Jason's shack with a gruesome altar of victims' bodies, topped by Pamela Voorhees' rotted head. While Ginny's attempt to lull Jason into a spell-like state by donning her disgusting sweater and preparing to kill him with his mother's infamous machete, the ruse all falls apart when Jason spots his mother's head and blocks Ginny's killing stroke. Eventually, she drives the machete into Jason's shoulder, seemingly killing him, or did she? With Jason crashing through a window to attack Ginny again, it's not clear if this was a dream or reality. One thing's for sure, her machete attack was nowhere near lethal, since Jason lived to terrorize another day. In Number 8. Friday the 13th Part 3, 1982. Heroine Chris Higgins repeatedly finds herself battling to save her life against Jason, stabbing him, beating him over the head, and hanging. But when she gets her big chance to finish him off with an axe, her swing barely cuts through his hockey mask and into his skull. Now, some might argue that Jason was supposed to be killed at the end of this film, making her attack successful. But in the sequel, 1984's Friday the 13th, the final chapter rips victory from Chris' hands when Voorhees defies death once again. Number 7. Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, 1989. When the doomed class of Lakeview High School decides to hunt down stowaway Jason Voorhees, one of the students, Miles Wolfe, grabs an axe and hunts Voorhees with not much enthusiasm, which means he should have thought twice before trying to take a swing. So wild and misplaced, even the bones of Jason's own mama, Pamela Voorhees, would dodge it with ease. Obviously, Jason blocks the strike, sends the axe flying, and the rest, as you might guess, is business as usual for Jason. Number 6. Friday the 13th Part 4, Jason Lives, 1986. Apparently, Tommy Jarvis' obsession with Jason Voorhees did not include the emotional inspiration to dream up a master plan to kill a creature known to be fueled by some superhuman strength and recovery properties. This is evident in the Drown Jason by chaining him to a boulder that you sink to the bottom of the lake plan. Not only should Tommy not expect Jason to drown, since the legend of Jason drowning as a child was shattered by his return in the wake of his mama, Pamela Voorhees' death, but with Jason being well known for super strength, there's no reason to think he was not capable of breaking the chains. Number 5. Friday the 13th Part 3, 1982. Round 1, Ollie, the leader of a gang of so-called punks, initially makes a bold and smart move in grabbing a machete to use against Jason Voorhees, but follows it with one of the most idiotic attack strategies in the overhead, and well-telegraphed swing against a thing who knows how to use cutting tools better than a butcher. Round 2. No surprise how this fight ended during Ali's moronic return to battle, and somehow avoiding that little side issue of bleeding to death after having one of his arms hacked off. Number 4. Friday the 13th Part 6. Jason Lives 1986. Never mind all the long-running Tommy Jarvis subplot in this 6th chapter of the Jason Voorhees saga. After spending nearly an hour in denial about the legend and power of Jason Voorhees, Sheriff Mike Garris finally faces off with the super killer. Initially, Sheriff Garris had the right idea to shoot Jason at point-blank range, but the second Voorhees proved he lived up to his legend, Garris just continued shooting him in the body with the rifle and his pistol, as though that would have any effect, and never considering a headshot. Later, Garris' colossal failures continue when he finally decides to crack Jason's skull with a rock, only to discover that he should have gone for the head when he had his shotgun. Number 3. Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood 1988. In what should have been called Carrie White's summer at Crystal Lake, even a girl empowered with heightened telekinetic abilities just couldn't stop the man-monster Jason Voorhees. And lacking in so much imagination doesn't help with her creative attempts to electrocute, causing bodily harm by a magneto-level furniture crushing, hanging by reanimated household wiring, head squeezing like an imploding pumpkin, complete charcoaling, toasting, and incineration, and inexplicably raising the corpse of her dead father to chain Jason Voorhees to that same rock at the bottom of Crystal Lake in the tradition of Tommy Jarvis, ultimately fails against the killing machine. With such power, telekinetic Tina didn't think of try ripping Jason's head from his body and/or his heart from his chest. Or how about using her considerable power to pull Jason's skeleton from his body? Nope. As always, every attack on Jason was anything but lethal. Wasn't the point to actually kill him? Number 2. Friday the 13th, the final chapter, 1984. By the 1-hour mark in this splatterfest, the victim count mounted, while any sense of a strategic approach to fighting Jason Voorhees was nowhere to be found, as in the case of wet and screaming Trish Jarvis, who only seemed to be concerned with temporary measures when facing off with Voorhees. Number 1. Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan 1989. After most of Lakeview High School's graduating class were slaughtered en route to New York via yacht trip, Take Charge boxing hopeful Julius faces off with Jason Voorhees on a Manhattan rooftop, using every bit of his boxing skill in an attempt to somehow knock him out to death or punch him into another realm. After all the otherworldly displays of killing, Julius has already witnessed with his own eyes. Who would think boxing was the answer to stopping Jason, particularly when Julius knew enough to hunt Voorhees with a rifle earlier in the film?
That's all for this episode of FrightenHouse. Comment below and let us know who made the most ridiculous attempts in defeating Jason Voorhees throughout the Friday the 13th Nightmare series. Please click like, comment, and subscribe to FrightenHouse.